If you're waiting for a green card, planning to travel, or helping a family member immigrate to America, stop everything and listen closely. What just happened in Washington will affect your case, your timeline, and possibly your entire future in this country. I've spent 2 decades inside these government offices, and what I'm seeing right now is unlike anything we've experienced in years. This is not another rumor. This is not speculation. This is real. This is happening now. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do next. Let's go. The phone calls started coming in at 7 in the morning. Immigration attorneys across the country were receiving panicked messages from clients who had seen the alerts. Green card holders stuck overseas wondering if they could return home. DACA recipients asking if their work permits were still valid. Families with pending I-130 petitions terrified that years of waiting might suddenly mean nothing. And in the middle of all this chaos, the same question kept repeating like a desperate prayer. What just changed? And how does this affect me? Here's what you need to understand. The United States immigration system operates like a massive machine with thousands of moving parts. And when even one gear shifts, the entire mechanism responds. What we're witnessing right now is not just one gear moving. Multiple policy adjustments are happening simultaneously across different agencies, and the cumulative effect is creating waves that will touch nearly every category of immigrant, visa holder, and pending applicant in America. Let me take you inside what's actually happening. The Department of Homeland Security and USCIS have implemented a series of procedural changes that affect processing times, documentation requirements, and eligibility criteria across multiple visa categories. These aren't necessarily new laws passed by Congress. These are administrative actions, policy memorandums, and enforcement priorities that executive agencies have the authority to implement. And this is exactly what makes them so powerful and so immediate. While a new immigration bill might take months or years to pass through the legislative process, administrative changes can take effect within days or even hours. Start with green cards, because this is where millions of families are feeling the impact first. If you have a pending adjustment of status application, you need to understand that processing priorities have shifted. USCIS is now placing heightened scrutiny on what they call public charge considerations. What does this mean in plain language? It means that immigration officers are looking more carefully at whether an applicant is likely to become dependent on government benefits. They're examining employment history more thoroughly. They're requesting additional evidence of financial stability. They're asking for more documentation of assets, income, and sponsor support. I remember sitting across from a family last year, watching the wife cry as she explained how they'd been waiting for her adjustment interview for 18 months. They'd done everything right. Filed all the forms, paid all the fees, submitted every requested document. But then the rules changed midstream, and suddenly they needed additional evidence they hadn't prepared. This is the reality thousands of families are facing right now. The practical impact is this. If you're in the United States on a temporary visa and you're planning to apply for adjustment of status, your case is going to face more scrutiny than it might have 6 months ago. If you're already in process, there's a significant chance you'll receive a request for evidence asking for additional financial documentation. If you're a sponsor filing an I-864 affidavit of support, prepare for closer examination of your income, tax returns, and employment stability. Cases that might have been approved with minimal review are now being flagged for additional verification. Now let's talk about travel, because this is creating real fear among green card holders and visa holders alike. The rules around reentry have always been complex, but recent enforcement actions have made the stakes much higher. If you're a lawful permanent resident and you've been outside the United States for more than 6 months, you need to be prepared for secondary inspection when you return. Officers at ports of entry are asking more questions about the purpose of extended absences, employment status, tax filing history, and ties to the United States. This isn't theoretical. Just 3 weeks ago, a green card holder who'd been visiting family in South Asia for 8 months was detained at JFK Airport for 6 hours. The officer questioned whether she had abandoned her residence. She had to show rental agreements, utility bills, bank statements, and employment letters to prove she still considered America her home. She was eventually admitted, but the experience was traumatic and terrifying. If you're planning to travel internationally and you hold a green card, understand this clearly. Any absence longer than 6 months raises questions. Any absence approaching 1 year puts your permanent resident status at serious risk. If you know you'll need to be outside the United States for an extended period, you must apply for a reentry permit before you leave. This single document can protect your status for up to 2 years and demonstrates to immigration officers that you intended to maintain your residence. But here's the critical detail most people miss. You must apply for the reentry permit while you're physically in the United States, and you must complete your biometrics appointment before departing. You cannot apply from overseas. For visa holders, the travel situation is different, but equally serious. If you're on an H-1B visa, and your employer has filed an extension or a change of status petition, traveling internationally, while that petition is pending, creates significant risk. If the petition is denied while you're abroad, you may not be able to return. If you're on an F-1 student visa, make absolutely certain your I-20 is signed for travel, your SEVIS record is active, and your visa stamp in your passport is valid before you book any international flights. Let's talk about employment-based immigration, because the changes here affect hundreds of thousands of workers and their families. The H-1B visa program, which allows U.S. employers to temporarily hire foreign workers in specialty occupations, is facing heightened scrutiny. USCIS is issuing more requests for evidence on H-1B petitions, questioning the specialty nature of positions, examining wage levels more carefully, and looking closely at employer-employee relationships. If you're working for a staffing company or a consulting firm, expect even more scrutiny. If your role involves working at a third-party client site, be prepared to provide detailed evidence of the work arrangement, contracts between your employer and the client, and documentation showing that your employer maintains control over your work. The L-1 visa program, which allows multinational companies to transfer executives and specialized knowledge workers to U.S. offices, is experiencing similar challenges. Immigration officers are questioning whether positions truly require specialized knowledge and whether employees have worked at the foreign entity for the required minimum period. Denials and RFEs have increased substantially over the past several months. Family-based immigration is where the emotional weight hits hardest. Right now, there are millions of people waiting for their priority dates to become current so they can move forward with green card applications. For family members from countries like Mexico, India, China, and the Philippines, the wait times stretch for years or even decades in some categories. What's happening now is that processing times for approved I-130 petitions are extending even longer. The National Visa Center is experiencing delays in case processing. Consular posts around the world are facing interview appointment backlogs that stretch months into the future. I want you to imagine what this means in human terms. A U.S. citizen files a petition for their spouse who lives overseas. The petition gets approved by USCIS. The case moves to the National Visa Center. They wait for months for the case to be documentarily complete. Then they wait again for an interview appointment at the embassy or consulate. In some countries right now, interview wait times are approaching 12 months. That's a full year of separation between spouses after the petition has already been approved. Think about the weddings missed, the children growing up apart from a parent, the financial strain of maintaining 2 households in 2 countries, the emotional toll of being separated from the person you love most in the world, not because you did anything wrong, but because the system is overwhelmed and underfunded. Asylum and refugee processing represents another area of dramatic change. If you've filed an affirmative asylum application with USCIS, understand that processing times vary wildly depending on when you filed and where your case is being adjudicated. Some applicants filed years ago and still haven't had their initial interview. Others filed more recently and received interviews within months. The system is neither logical nor fair in its timeline distribution. If you're waiting for an asylum interview, the best thing you can do is ensure USCIS has your current address, check your case status online regularly, and be prepared to attend your interview on short notice once it's scheduled. For those in removal proceedings who are seeking asylum defensively before an immigration judge, the court backlog is staggering. There are currently more than 3 million pending cases in immigration court nationwide. Some individuals have hearing dates scheduled 5 or 6 years in the future. During this time, you exist in a state of legal limbo, never certain about your future, unable to fully plan your life. Now here's what's creating the most confusion and anxiety right now. When immigration policies change rapidly, misinformation spreads even faster. Social media becomes filled with rumors, partial truths, and outright falsehoods. Someone posts that all green card interviews are being canceled. Another person claims that DACA is ending immediately. A third shares a story that visa holders can no longer re-enter the country. None of these statements are accurate, but fear makes them feel true. So let me give you the truth, clearly and directly. Your valid green card remains valid. Your approved work permit continues to authorize employment through its expiration date. Your pending case doesn't disappear just because policies change. What does change is the standard of review, the level of scrutiny, the documentation requirements, and sometimes the processing timeline. These changes are significant and real, but they don't automatically invalidate your legal status or destroy your case. What you must do right now is this. First, verify that USCIS has your correct address on file. Update your address online within 10 days if you move. Missing a notice because USCIS sent it to your old address can result in your case being denied or abandoned. Second, check your case status regularly on the USCIS website. Sign up for case status updates by email or text. Don't wait for paper notices that might get lost in the mail. Third, maintain copies of every single immigration document you've ever received. Your approval notices, receipts, work permits, travel documents, correspondence from USCIS, everything. Keep physical copies and digital backups. If you have a pending application or petition, now is the time to strengthen your case proactively. Gather additional evidence of eligibility. If you're applying based on employment, get updated letters from your employer. If you're applying based on family relationship, gather updated evidence of your ongoing genuine relationship. If financial eligibility is part of your case, compile recent pay stubs, tax returns, and bank statements. Don't wait for USCIS to issue a request for evidence. Submit strong supporting documentation with your initial filing. For green card holders, this is absolutely critical. File your taxes every single year, even if you're living and working overseas. Immigration officers look at tax filing history as evidence of your commitment to the United States. They also check for selective service registration if you're a male who was between 18 and 26 years old while in the United States. These details matter enormously during citizenship interviews and re-entry inspections. If you're planning to apply for citizenship, now might actually be the right time to file. Naturalization is one of the most secure immigration statuses you can hold. Once you become a U.S. citizen, your status cannot be revoked except in extremely rare cases involving fraud. You can travel freely without worrying about abandoning residence. You can sponsor family members in immediate relative categories with no quota weights. You gain the right to vote and participate fully in American civic life. If you've been a green card holder for 5 years or 3 years if you obtained your green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen, and you meet all the other eligibility requirements, strongly consider filing your N-400 application for naturalization. The children's cases are what keep me up at night. Kids who were brought to this country by their parents through no choice of their own. Teenagers who've grown up American in every way except on paper. Young people protected by DACA who built their lives around the promise of temporary protection that could disappear at any moment. These cases carry a unique urgency because childhood doesn't wait for immigration reform. A teenager protected by DACA today will age out of potential future protections if Congress doesn't act. A child waiting overseas for their immigrant visa appointment is missing irreplaceable years of their life. If you're a parent with U.S. citizenship or a green card and your child is overseas waiting for an immigrant visa, understand that children under 21 can qualify as immediate relatives with no quota wait. But once they turn 21, they age out of the immediate relative category and must wait in the preference system, which can add years or decades to their wait time. The Child Status Protection Act provides some relief in certain situations, but it's complex and case-specific. If your child is approaching their 21st birthday and has a pending case, you need expert legal guidance immediately. Here's something else that's critical right now. Immigration fraud is surging alongside fear and confusion. Scammers see vulnerable immigrants as easy targets. They pose as immigration attorneys or government officials. They promise guaranteed approvals. They charge thousands of dollars for services that never materialize. They file fraudulent applications that get denied and create permanent problems in immigration records. Please, please be careful who you trust with your case. Only licensed attorneys and accredited representatives are legally authorized to provide immigration advice and representation. Check credentials through your state bar association. Be suspicious of anyone who guarantees results or asks you to lie on applications. If someone tells you they have special connections inside USCIS that can speed up your case, they're lying to you. The financial burden of immigration is already crushing for most families. Application fees alone can run into thousands of dollars. Attorney fees add thousands more. Travel costs for interviews, translation and document certification expenses, medical examinations, police certificates, FBI background checks. The total cost of immigrating to the United States legally can easily exceed $10,000, and that's if everything goes smoothly without any complications or denials. Don't make it worse by giving your money to scammers who will leave you in a worse position than when you started. What gives me hope despite all these challenges is the resilience I see in immigrant communities every single day. Families who refuse to give up even after years of waiting. Workers who continue building their careers and contributing to American society despite uncertainty about their future. Young people who study hard, volunteer in their communities, and dream of the day they can call themselves American citizens. This strength and determination is what makes America stronger. Immigration isn't just about paperwork and visa categories. It's about people seeking safety, opportunity, family unity, and the chance to build better lives. The United States has always been a nation built by immigrants and continues to be shaped by the energy, talent, and dreams of people from every corner of the world. Yes, the system is complicated and often unfair. Yes, the rules change in ways that feel arbitrary and cruel. Yes, the waiting is exhausting and the uncertainty is painful. But you are not alone in this journey. Millions of people have walked this same difficult path before you, and millions are walking it alongside you right now. So here's what I need you to do. If this information helped you understand what's really happening with U.S. immigration right now, hit that subscribe button. I post daily updates about immigration policy changes, USCIS processing times, visa bulletins, and practical guidance for every immigration category. This channel exists to help you navigate this complex system with accurate information and clear explanations. Like this video and share it with anyone you know who's dealing with immigration issues, because when we share knowledge, we help entire communities become stronger and more prepared. Drop a comment below telling me about your situation, where you are in the process, what you're waiting for. I read every single comment and your stories help me understand what content you need most. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update, because in immigration, timing matters and information is power. You didn't come this far to give up now. Every document you gather, every form you file correctly, every day you wait patiently, brings you one step closer to your goal. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay hopeful. Your American dream is worth fighting for, and I'm here to help you fight smart. See you in the next update.